This tutorial was brought to you thanks to the supporters on the screen. Check out TAPgiles.com to find more Dreams resources, donate to support my work, or engage my services to get private instruction or help on a project one-on-one. I'm going to demonstrate a custom camera rig that can be used to create and replay a cinematic camera move. Check the description for links to the full explanation of how the method that this was built on works. And I used those principles to make this, which is, I call the soft camera rig for recording. And the idea is you have these kind of steps to be able to record a very smooth, nice cutscene camera move sort of thing. So if I just make some shapes. So it has instructions here, but I'll just go through it so you can kind of easily understand what's going on. The idea is, so you've got an invert Y setting, you can turn that on or off. Then you do this in steps. So the first step is the camera path. I tend to, if I'm actually working on a proper scene, I tend to kind of find shots that I like and draw them out so that I can refer to them. So if I just choose some shots, so I like that shot there, and I'll make a copy and then group them up. And I'll move this other shot to maybe looking down like this, that sort of thing. And then I add some arrows or maybe just a line, depending on how I feel. So I know the path I want. So I'm going to start down here and kind of move up and around and over here. So if I try to just record this in a normal camera, over here. And because this is all in a group, I can just turn off the group once I'm finished, or delete it. So if I used a action recorder, for example, then I can like move around here. But when I'm trying to move up a bit as well as forward a bit, then I'm holding L1 sometimes, and it's just jerking up. And the camera's just moving or not moving, instead of it being nice and smooth. So then that plays back fine. But it's, as I say, it's kind of a bit jerky and not great. We can add springiness to it. That might help, so let's just do this. So it's a little smoother, but it's still quite wobbly and not ideal. Another alternative is to keyframe it to these positions. So you can have a timeline and just put that camera there. I recommend leaving the camera outside of the timeline, because if you put it inside the timeline and then move the timeline, then the initial starting point of that camera has changed and the whole flight path will be completely destroyed. The second one, I'll just swoop over here and we tween between them. So let's try that, and we'll select them all with double X and then make them all keep changes so that when we get to the end it will just stay there. So let's try that. Whoa, it's going very fast. Let's adjust that. Okay. So it smooths it out, which is cool, but let's see how it fares. So it's not too bad on that one. What if though you wanted to have it move a long way, like you wanted to move all the way over there and then kind of slow down and move around it. So you might have a long sweeping movement like that. And then some smaller ones that are around like that. And maybe we end like that. Okay. Whoa! Like that. Because if we pin this and then hover over this, we can see the line that it takes. And it kind of overshoots because this was such a long way. it thinks you probably want to preserve that velocity sort of thing, but it doesn't actually know about how long it took to get there. It just knows how much distance it covered. So then it kind of overcompensates and wiggles around. So that's not ideal. So now we'll look at how to use this rig. So the first step is movement. So you turn on this movement thing, and first it's worth testing things out. So if you open this microchip, there are actually different settings for how fast the actual camera moves and the movement strength and damping. Lower strength and damping means that it will have more of a flowy movement to it, but you'll have less tight control. And if you have it really high, then it will be a lot snappier, responsive to how you change the stick. But if you have it kind of around the middle, then it will let you have very smooth curves. So you can just adjust that however you want and test it with test mode. So I'm like testing this, like that. So we want to record that now, so let's just record it. So possess the object we're presented with, and go over to the starting point, let it kind of stop, and then I'll start the journey. And I like to kind of take it very easy on the path to kind of give it a roughly linear speed to it. And I'll end over here and just let it settle. I'll just let go of the sticks. Cool. And right, so now if I play time, that object is now following that path because of this possession recorder. So next it tells me to put it into this movement timeline, like that, and set it to sustain and keep changes and make sure the timeline is long enough. And now we want to mess with the rotation. So in that first step we just focused on the path, now we're just focusing on the rotation and the kind of aiming of the camera, and the path will be done for us. So in here it tells you more about it. We've got right stick is look, and then R2 is the playback speed of the path, so we can kind of slow down to look at this part for longer or something. And L2 is when you pull L2, then it will be able to go to a halt. We are messing with the speed of this possession recorder. This is the maximum playback speed as we pull R2 full. When we don't have R2 pulled, it will go this minimum speed. This lets it kind of never quite stop and can make it a lot smoother. And then playback damping is how long it takes for it to get slower and get going again, just using a signal manipulator over here. So those are the controls. There's also rotation strength and damping for this part as well, which you can play with. I'll just record straight into it. So I'll hold R2 until it gets to the kind of starting point over here. Okay, give it a pause time, and then I'll start going by pulling R2. And I want to go slower here. A bit faster, and slower up here. A bit faster around here. And then I'll just let go and hold L2. There we go, so then it comes to a stop, and then L1 and circle to come out of the puppet and then stop recording there. So now that is done, you turn on the next one, which is speed, and for this it's purely R2 to affect the speed, and that's it. But it lets you kind of focus, again, just focus on one aspect, which is the speed of the camera move. So again, we put this into a possession recorder, into a timeline. Make this long enough. Sustain and keep changes. And then you want to record into this one. So let's go and record into this one. Okay, so let's get to the first bit. So here I can't affect the path or the rotation at all, just the speed. So I think I want to affect this more actually. So I can just delete that possession recorder and go into the settings, and I want the minimum or the maximum to be 2, which will be double the speed. So let's try that. Starts going really fast. Let me slow it down. Go fast again. Past here. And then we'll stop it there. And job done. And this is our final recording. So now if we turn on playback, then we can see this is affected by that possession recorder, and that's the whole thing. So the camera is in there and everything. So now we should be able to, if we turn off preview invisibility, you can just delete all this stuff. And should still work. And you can delete that thing and that thing. And we can put this into a timeline. Find the beginning that we want. Okay, so from there. Sustain and keep changes. And play the scene. And we get that final kind of camera move, and it doesn't take very much thermo in the kind of final state. It just captures that position and rotation of the camera stuff kind of layered in different ways. So that's how you use that soft camera rig, and it just uses that simple principle that I showed before. So that's actually how I made the soft camera rig demo scene. So I play. Yay! Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to get 5 hours of tutorials early for $3. Here's a preview of what you can learn if you choose to become a supporter.